It's Mike Lepre, King Mike L, here with Legit Fantasy Sports. It's Thursday night, 7 o'clock, so that must mean it's Legit Fantasy Football. Joining me as always in the complete dark, looks like he's stuck in a basement. Emily, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Excellent. You know, when I got the message that we were doing the show, I was like, oh my God, happy. Because, you know, I'm always thinking,
huh?
I got so much to talk about.
I said, are you in a coal mine? Like you're in complete
Am
darkness.
I in a coal? If I was in a coal mine, I would definitely be the Derek Zoolander of coal and mining. I would definitely be the prima donna and the.
If this was legit,
did you just get that on me? Oh my God!
Joining us to bring the intelligence up just a few notches.
Yeah!
Kevin, how are you tonight?
Hey, how's it going, King? Doing pretty good. I know why Mastradamus is in the dark like that. He's afraid because of the picks he made on Sunday didn't come through. It was a horrible introduction.
What are you talking about?
Mastradamus is in the dark, just like his picks. Is that a little better?
I was flawless Sunday.
No? Okay, sorry. Anyway, how's it going, guys?
Going good. Good. Hey, so we're here. Like we've got two games to settle it, to figure out who's in the Super Bowl, and then we have to watch the Super Bowl. And I don't know about you guys, I can't stand the media leading up to the Super Bowl if my team's not in it. The only way I can deal with this is like the Giants are in it, because then I'll pay attention. But other than that, I get enough. Like I've had enough. They try to make stories out of nothing so that you'll be interested in the game. Like it's like a week-long, drama series. I can't stand it. Like, what do you guys think of it?
It's 2 weeks long.
2 weeks long. All right.
Yeah.
It's even worse. Maybe that's why my memory goes like that. Matt, what do you think of it? You think it's too much hype?
It's funny because you asked last week, did we feel the teams that were we felt like where the teams are in it that we felt should be there, and not being in the playoffs for the first time in a long time, being a Pats fan, has a special taste in my mouth. It sucks. And so I feel like all these games have been pretty entertaining. I don't like the week off leading up to the Super Bowl. I feel like they should probably shorten it. I feel like the 1 week in between the games is probably beneficial. But then again, you got the whole, interviews, the media. I think all that's overblown. I think you can shorten it. I don't know. Maybe. I know they would never change the game, but maybe put that on a Thursday or something midway. I don't know. I actually would like to see them go back to inclement weather and stuff like that, but that wouldn't be good for the tourist attraction and whatnot. But I'm not a fan of the
players becoming more and more. Wow, that was weird. You just you went wow. Players have so much more power now. I don't think you'll ever see an inclement playoff game again. Like, you know what I mean? Like in that sense, like if they can control it, they're not gonna let that happen. No more Super Bowls where it's cold, which sucks. I mean, they had the one in New York.
They tried the Giant Stadium and it was so cold.
Yeah, that's my thing. So it's like but Genius, what do you think? You think there's too much hype? Like, where you at with?
Way too much hype. Like I don't even watch. Like I take a break the first week. I don't follow any of it. I don't watch press row stuff. I don't follow any of the storylines. Then the second week, I start following probably like Monday or Tuesday, because you don't miss anything. Like what has ever happened to that first week that you couldn't figure out the second week? I don't get it. The only cold weather place you'll have it is Minnesota, because it's covered, which they did a few years ago. Apparently, it was supposed to be really, really good. But yeah, you'll never see one in like Green Bay or New England, or you probably won't even see New York again. It's just not going to happen. But I hate it. I hate the 2 week layoff, and like I said, I won't even know anything about the game until the second week.
Especially the teams, right? The teams. Like it ends up being like in my head, like the Chiefs and like another team I could care less about, and I got to hear about. If it's the Bucks, look, listen. Tom Brady makes it to the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The shit I'm gonna have to listen to for 2 weeks about TB12 and kissing his kid like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, heebie-jeebie-ish, you know? Like, I got to hear about how he's like 4,700, you know? And he's like, but up here, him and his wife, his dream supermodel wife, they figured out a way to be above pain. I fucking can't stand it. It's going to be awful if he makes it to the Super Bowl. You realize my life is going to suck. Like, I don't want to hear about him for 2 weeks. Like, yeah, I just opened it. Doesn't it suck how much there is for hype? Yes, there is, Mike. Okay, now 2 weeks of hype about Brady.
Let's start it right now. 32 playoff wins. He's got 16 more than the next guy, who is Joe Montana at 16. If he goes to the Super Bowl, it will be appearance number 11. The nearest person to him is Joe Montana with 4. No, there was one with 5. Who was with 5? 8? Who had 5?
Charles Haley, maybe? I think
Charles Haley
had
must have been the guy because he's got 5 rings, right?
Yeah.
Well, he does, yeah.
So it's got to be Haley. Then I'm talking maybe quarterback. Next quarterback would be Montana. So I am saying this, and I could see Mike squirming because he could feel it. He can feel it. And I'm going to tell you right now, 9-4 in championship games. He's nails against the best teams when it counts. And I'm going to tell you now, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, the story over there is he's got 1 championship, and that's a reason. He doesn't get it done when he needs to. The Bucs get their best D lineman back, while the Packers lose their best all lineman, their highest paid lineman. And I'm going to tell you right now, the way that this is going to be won is the same way. Tom Brady's so great. He's selfless. He looks at the play, he looks at the defense, and he's going to hand off to Fournette or Jones, and he's going to gash that Packers run day.
Listen, I don't want to talk about the game itself. I want to talk about him and what it's going to be like having to deal with.
Oh, you want to talk about Tom Brady? I could go on.
And here's a person who knows what it's like to have to deal with Tom Brady. Everybody, Brother Ray, how are you tonight?
What's going on, gentlemen? I thought I had the wrong podcast.
Yeah! What's up, Brother Ray?
Church, listening to a sermon. I mean, I believe, Pastor Thomas.
So listen to me, Brother Ray. I was talking about how it sucks, the media hype leading up to the Super Bowl. How it's too much. And then I said, how bad will it suck if it's about Tom Brady? Like, if the Buccaneers make it, think about what we'd have to deal with on the TV. Now, he'd be the first, quarterback to be in a Super Bowl in 3 different decades? Like, that's fucking crazy, right? Like, how do you argue against his – I hate it. Like, it's come to the point where it's almost unarguable. Like, how do you argue against him? Like, he's –
And I got to be honest with you, King. I don't think it just stops here. He is going to come back next year, and they're going to be better.
Brother Ray, what do you think it's gonna be like if just say the Buccaneers make it to the Super Bowl, if Brady somehow gets there?
Let's be honest, though. It is what it is, and the hype is going to be what it always is with Tom Brady. But I think the difference this year is this team is pretty good. That defense really was the MVP of that game, getting those picks off of Breeze and really shutting them down when they needed to. Those 2 linebackers are as good as it gets. Those 2 inside linebackers are probably as good as anybody in the league. And they play that way. And that defense showed some glimpses early in the year. They were the number 1 defense at one point, and then they completely fell off the table. They're back. And I think with Brady, and you can see it too, he's the leader of that team, but he wasn't the reason really that they won. He was part of the reason. But it wasn't like those recent Patriot wins where he completely carried them on his back.
Hey, genius. Do you notice how I keep asking people about Tom Brady and they try to switch the subject? Like Ray just totally took it a different way. I'm talking about Brady himself. What do you think life will be like? What do you think the extent they're going to go to with the Brady hype? Like, I guess what I want from you is you hate Tom Brady, right? Like he's
No, I don't hate him.
No, not you, Kev, not you, brother Ray. I'm talking. Not you. No, like you don't like. Really, in real life, hate him. I don't know, maybe you do, but you hate him. You don't like him. You don't like him. You think he's a cheater. Tell me, give me this. Come on.
Hey, hate is a strong word.
All right.
He's beaten my team for decades, so obviously, I don't think I want to have dinner with the man. However, they can't hype him, King, any more than they already have all these years. So. I'm at the point where it's like, what else could they do? They've already put him on the pedestal. There's really not much more they can do.
I guess, Matty, how does it feel though to know that all those Patriot fans will be there again to watch this game? How does it like? With the split,
I'll tell you, I'm on the bandwagon. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. I got to tell you, dude. Do you guys know that I made Tom Brady?
Oh, no. I did not know this.
Do you know the story?
I'd love to hear it.
I used to go to the Patriots camp all the time. Now, you know I was wearing my Bledsoe jersey last week.
Yep.
I knew everybody, and especially at that point in my life, football was everything to me. I knew all the practice squad players. Actually, a friend of ours, Andrew Windsor from North Smithfield, was on the Patriots practice squad. He got a ring. I knew everybody who was on the team. I didn't want the fourth string or third string or second strings quarterback's signature. When I would open up my flag, it would be a big, like, all the guys would be right there in a line. Tom came in. I said, no, thank you. And I looked at him. And that's when he was looking to give out autographs. And I told him, you're a fucking nobody guy. I said, don't touch my flag because I got Keith Byers, Drew Bledsoe, Ty Law, Adam Vinatieri, Bill Belichick. I got everybody. So I started the fire in Tom Brady.
By not letting him sign your flag.
What do you question me, Kev? You're a genius. You should know better. I'm telling you the truth. I made Tom Brady what he is.
Hey.
And he took that personally. Is that what you're saying?
He did, Brother Ray. Preach.
All right. Hey, Brother Ray, let me get to another subject here. This is something that came to light, and I want to see what you think about the incoming class. In the NFL this year, 5 rookie running backs had great years. Clyde, 700 names. Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift, and then J.K. Sounds like I should have wrote a book, Dobbins. What do you think of those 5? First of all, like like fantasy wise, they made a huge impact as rookies. Like,
what about James Robinson?
5 guys would come along at one time and do that again, like running backs.
I mean, running backs are usually the rookies that have success right away. I mean, very few wide receivers come in and dominate. It usually takes them about 3 years is the test for a wide receiver. So running backs usually have the jump on all positions, offensive positions, as far as coming out of the gate and really doing well. I mean, we knew those guys were all good. I mean, they were drafted as such in fantasy drafts. So someone like a James Robinson obviously was a big surprise. I mean, an undrafted player to come in and do what he did. I mean, that's the way the NFL is now. They're not paying big money to running backs anymore. It's better to kind of get a young guy in there, develop them. And that first year, defenses aren't really familiar with those guys. It takes them a couple of years, like a year or two to adjust. So they kind of take the NFL by storm. No, but I mean, they're all quality guys. And I think every year you're going to get some, but I think this year had quite a few that were really successful.
Yeah, like Matt, are you surprised it was 5, 6? I mean, just focusing on these 5, but they were 6, whatever. that like took over their team's spot as running backs. I mean, some are sharing, but whatever. Like they still took a spot on their team as rookies. Like, what did you think?
Seems like it comes like that, right? Like generational. Sometimes you only see like 1 or 2 good backs, and then all of a sudden, boom, you see 5 or 6. You know, same way what you see with linebackers or O-line. Some years it's a good QB class. Sometimes it's no QBs at all. It's just happened to be like that. I mean, there was a few years back when you had, you know, Fournette, Cook, McCaffrey. I mean, that's right there. Those are like borderline. I mean, I don't know about Fournette, but Cook and McCaffrey could be a borderline Hall of Famers if they, you know, finish out their careers the way we know they can. But, you know, sometimes you just get a cluster. Sometimes you get regiments.
Yeah.
So genius. Here's a question. For a while, they weren't drafting running backs. That was like the big from running backs. Now, with the way they pay the people, does it make more sense to get them early and pay them that big rookie contract to kind of keep them maybe a year longer or whatnot than it is to let them go? Like now, it seems like it makes more sense. Does it make more sense to sign them early now and give them and make them first round picks? Is
like
it
all the ones that you listed? The only one that was a first round pick was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? Everyone else was a second round or later. Like Zach Moss, who you didn't mention, was a third round pick, and he's going to be the number 1 back in Buffalo next year. So I think the value is you get them second, third round, and you sign them to, you know, the rookie deal is a lot more friendly. And as Brother Ray said, they're not paying, like, unless you're the Cowboys and you're an idiot and you sign Zeke Elliott to some monster deal, and probably what the Giants are going to do with Barkley, it's not worth it. Or even McCaffrey might be the only one that's worth it because he's more of a receiver than anything else. But you can replace them. They're like interchangeable parts, and it sucks. They're a huge beating. That's what sucks about it.
But tell me, Brother Ray, tell me this. If they're developing and working so fast, you think that they might be in a higher commodity, meaning they're going to go earlier, right? Like people will go earlier to take that back that they turn over and become good. No?
No. I mean, right now, what you're saying, there's certain players that will go early. They'll go in the first round. And it depends on what teams want. I would gather that not every team would have taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. I mean, he's not a big guy. He's a small, like, scatterback. He is good between the tackles, but it really depends on what each team's taste is. And by the way, you're talking about running backs. You had the best rookie quarterback in wide receiver in NFL history this year, in Justin Herbert and Jefferson. They had the best seasons of any rookies at their position of all time. So pretty good draft class.
But is that overrated because of what we're in now, though? I mean, they're both very, very, very top-notch players, but is it like, you know, fluffed a little?
I mean, the thing is, I mean, they still went out and did it. I mean, Herbert and Jefferson.
I think Justin Herbert is absolutely authentic and as real as they can be. I just wonder if they would be what they were, you know, a generation ago. Same with Jefferson. Jefferson's a very nice piece, but
yeah. See, I was trying to get myself familiar with the potential incoming rookie running backs because you could. Right around now is when I start to get knee deep in it, like start to learn the positions. Brother Ray, you know that stuff better than I do, but what's the deal with the 2 running backs out of North Carolina, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter? Anybody, like, how are they? First of all, it just strikes me that there's 2 running backs from North Carolina, and they're both in the top 5.
Well, I mean, I think this year what you're going to see is you're not going to have like a running back that's going to go really high. That's just not – I mean, that's just not in the cards this year. The talent level isn't really there. I mean, those guys, they're both good, and they're both a tandem. But they're going to be in the later rounds. You're not going to see any of them in the first round. What
about Najee Harris?
Najee Harris,
he'll be a first rounder.
He's a first round pick. You know, Etienne is definitely a first round pick. I mean, those 2 guys probably are 1 and 2, and depending on who you are, that's probably, you know, they may go in a different order. Williams, I'd probably say the second round pick. I'd probably say he would go. He would go first. I mean, it's really in the eye of the beholder. I mean, some people would like him even better. You know, some people would like Carter even better than Harris. So it really depends on how they fit your system. I like the kid from Memphis. What's his name? Gainwell. He's someone
Kenneth
to
Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, he's someone to watch. And remember, if you look at like some of the Memphis backs that have come out in recent years, you got the running back in Washington. You got Dallas took one. I mean, they come from a really good offense where they catch the ball, run the ball, and do a variety of things. But I think you're going to see some second and third round backs where there's talent there. Trace Sermon, I know he didn't have a great championship game. He didn't play in the championship game. Would have been a different game, I think, if he's in that. He's someone to look at. Herbert from Virginia Tech is someone to look at.
He played. He got hit on the first carry. He played. He got tanked.
Did he?
I mean, but
he got hit and he got carried right on out. I think
he's a 3-down guy. Like that's someone
he's great.
Teams are going to target. He's not like a specialty back. He's a 3-down guy. You know, first down, second down, catch the ball. I'd probably add Felton to that list too from UCLA. Again, but there's some good guys in this like second, third round, even fourth round area that you're going to see come off the board. And again, maybe they can be the next James Robinson.
So question is, right? You're always connected to your draft class. Like you're always like, you're connected to your draft class. Like Clyde, many names, Hilaire and Jonathan Taylor will always be connected. So Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift, all of them. I had a question that I tried to explain to somebody today, and I want to see how you guys would explain it. Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. Who is the best of the three? Which one should be in the Hall of Fame? And I said, well, Roethlisberger and Manning should be in the Hall of Fame, and Rivers doesn't make it. And they got furious with me, saying that Rivers is the best of the three. Brother Ray, let me start with you on that. Like, was Rivers the best of the three?
No way. No way. Not even close. I mean, no offense, but what has he done? I mean, he's played so many years. I think he automatically has the numbers in today's NFL, which is a passing offense. I mean, I'm not a Rivers fan. I don't think he has what it takes to win a championship. I think he's proven that. If I had to look at those three guys, I would have to say it's got to be Ben.
Genius Kev, what do you think of that? My question, I guess, is who's your favorite of the three? And do you think that he deserves to be thought of as the best of the three, Phillip Rivers? Because he was more consistent, I guess, is what their argument is, right?
It's funny. My favorite of the three is probably Phillip Rivers. Just I like his attitude. I like the way he composes himself. I like the way he carries himself, not composes himself. He does 251 straight games. And I'll never forget, you can never take, like, once he did this, I was like, I'll never doubt the guy again. When he played against the Patriots in an AFC championship game with the torn ACL. You can never, that's probably one of the toughest things a quarterback, I've ever heard a quarterback do. But his numbers they're great, obviously, but in 10 years, we think about all the quarterbacks that are going. In 10 years, he won't even be top 5 in any category. In 20 years, he'll be forgotten. Never won a Super Bowl, never even made it to a Super Bowl, so you can eliminate him. I hate Eli, but he's probably going to make the Hall of Fame because he's got 2 Super Bowl wins against against the greatest teams against the greatest teams that have ever played, the Patriots.
MVP.
Yeah. And like Ben is probably the best. Eli probably gets the Hall of Fame the easiest, and Phillip Rivers is probably my favorite of the three.
That's crazy, but that's a great way to put it. That's actually great. I like the way you put it, like that. Matt, where do you rank those three? I guess I'll give you a shot at that.
Phillip Rivers is definitely bottom for me out of the three. And as I was sitting there listening to you guys, it's crazy to me because when I look at Ben Roethlisberger, you would probably just put him on the pedestal, but I wouldn't. I think that Eli has done more with less against better than Ben has, and I think Ben has had more stability around him than Eli has, and it's just funny when we compare the two; they're very similar, and I just think that when I compare the two careers, I would put them both in the Hall of Fame, but in terms of who's better, I think Eli has done better with less against better.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Eli beat Ben Roethlisberger could never beat Tom. Never. Eli could, and he did.
Yeah. I think the greatest thing that Eli brought was availability. Like that he started every game. He was there every game. To not have to worry about if your quarterback's there every game is just, that's huge, right? Like that's a huge thing. So that's me.
How many Super
As
Bowls
a
is
Patriots fan, who do I fear more?
Ben.
Eli.
Well, Eli, yeah, you guys,
Eli.
Patriots, yeah, Eli will kill you. Those two games were beyond, like, I once explained to somebody, I feel like sports will never be great to me again because how can it beat that moment? Like, what in sports can happen that will beat how I felt in that moment? That moment was like, the Patriots were undefeated. I had to hear about Tom Brady for 2 weeks.
Here we go.
At the beginning of this stupid thing. And then by the time we got there, I called all the radio stations saying how the Giants had a chance. And they loved me. They kept putting me on because they thought I was an idiot. They literally would call me idiot when they would hang up on me, but I kept calling every day. And, they wouldn't listen to me. No one wanted to listen to me. And watching that game, the way it went down was so magical that it was like, I thought to myself, it'll never get better than this. This is it. There will be no sports. How do I get a better sports moment than that?
For me, it was Grady Little not taking the pitch from Pedro, and Pedro, telling him I can do this, and the manager, you're there to say, give me the ball. We're moving to the bullpen, and then feeling that, and then going to Dave Robbins stealing the base, Poppy hit. Mueller hitting it up, and tying it, and then winning it. That to me. And I was actually going overseas. I was actually going off to Iraq. And had we not swept the World Series, I would have never been able to see Game 5. I was leaving. I won that night, and I left when we won as champions. But that was sweet.
Wow. At first, did anybody think that you didn't know where Matt was going? Anybody else? When he first started out, I was like, uh-oh, where's he going?
Now, to me, the Rams Pats Super Bowl was great, but epic moment in sports. And I agree. There's a lot of things that have happened that it's almost will never take the climax. Oh, it will never happen like it once did. And to me, and I can totally see how it would be for you guys, because to me, that was the most painful loss that I've ever felt, and it hurt me, and it still does.
You know what? Listen. First of all, I now know what it must feel like to be on heroin. Because they're always chasing that high. And that's well, I'm going to be chasing that dream of a better moment than that, but I don't think I'll get it. I think it's called chasing the dragon. I'll be chasing it, man. I can't get a better moment, Brother Ray. How can I get a better moment with that?
Wait, can I make it?
Wait, Kev, go ahead.
Yeah,
so just quick, because it relates directly to your story, your moment. I had the exact opposite. Like when the Patriots lost that game, I remember I was in New York. I was at a very small party. Game was over. The next day, I met one of my friends, and it was like bright and sunny. And I was standing there, and I was like just destroyed. And I actually had a conversation with him, and I was like, I cannot follow sports this closely anymore. Like I can't get into it. So I literally took a huge step back and became a little bit more distant and a little more objective, and like realized whether they win or lose doesn't really matter in the end to me. And I literally, that game was the backbreaker. It made me take a step back as a sports fan. So you had the opposite. For me, it was like, I can't do it. I remember I remember the street sign, I remember everything about how bright it was. I had sunglasses on because I was a mess. And we sat and talked about it. I said, that's it. I got to take a step back.
Listen, dude, I saw all these stories of like people like flying their dads down from Florida and buying like $5,000 big screen TV so they could all be together and witness the Patriots become like undefeated champs of all time. I actually bought a goddamn T-shirt that was Patriots 19-0, undefeated champs. I had it mailed to me. The guy didn't do. He ended up putting like a Sharpie on the page saying that you can just cross it off and write your own little thing. I was like, you know, whatever.
I can't participate in this.
Before you send all the rest of them like Africa, I want that shirt, you jerk. It was already done. It was already made. Brother Ray, tell me, give me one.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, I owe Eli Manning a debt of gratitude as a Dolphins fan. You know, the 72 Dolphins record was on the line, and you know, them getting that win was, I can't lie, was one of the best games I've ever seen. And it, you know, even though they weren't my team per se, they were playing for my team. So yeah, that was a crazy night watching that game at your house, King.
There were so many plays. A genius, Kev. What do you have a good moment? Or is it going to just be negative? Negative in numbers.
Well, yeah. What in terms of just in general, it would have to be that.
Have you had a good sports moment, Kev?
Yeah, of course. You know what's funny? I loved you're an asshole for that. I loved the Patriots beating the Rams. I love that Super Bowl. The second one. Probably as much as I love the first one. Because that was like a pure Belichick team, a Belichick game plan. It was almost like, you know what, Tommy, we can win a 13-3 Super Bowl. It doesn't always have to be about 27 points, 34 points, and 42 points to be the Chiefs, all that stuff. We can do it. We can grind it out. We can shut them down completely. It broke Sean McVay for a season. I think that was one of my highs. I was so happy about that one because I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And then obviously the Super Bowl in Atlanta, 28-3. Sorry, in Houston against Atlanta. I was actually in Houston, and we couldn't get tickets to the game, so I watched it in Houston, but not at the stadium. So those two probably were really the best.
Well, the Pats are doing right. Yeah. They're Super Bowls, whether you like them or you don't like them. Something happens. Something always happens in a great moment. It just seems to happen that way. And no, see, with me, we did it twice. That's the thing with Giants fans. Like, you don't understand. Like, we think, like, you know, we did it twice.
Yeah.
Like, having that rematch scared me because what if we lose the second game? That tarnishes that first game and that perfect feeling I had. Yeah. Like, how dare these sons of bitches that keep winning Super Bowls have to come and try to spoil our dreams, right? Yeah. See? And make us you know what I mean? Make us feel bad about our first one. But that pass to Manningham may be the greatest pass I've ever seen, ever witnessed. That pass to Manningham was, Brother Ray, it's in the top 10 passes of all time, isn't it? Like, pure throws.
You hear that saying all the time, he can drop the ball in a bucket. That's exactly what he did. He dropped that ball in a bucket between two defenders perfectly right on the sideline. I mean, that, you know, you couldn't draw it up any better. And it's weird because there are two wins. There's that play and obviously the Tyree catch we haven't even talked about. But it's those two plays that, for me, stand out and probably reasons why they won those games.
Yeah.
Dude. The reason I'm not bringing up the Tyree thing is because the Tyree catch was a moment that I still to this point don't believe happened. First of all, they didn't get us for holding. And if you watch the film, the Giants linemen are like this, kind of holding the guy with the guy back to them, like kind of like, what do I do now? And they just like, oh. So it's like, that was weird. And then just the way Eli came bumbling out of that pack, like, boom, 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 boom. He wasn't like, he spurted it out. He was like, bing, 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 helmet's coming off, dunk, dunk, dunk.
Yeah.
He stopped and planted. And if we're all honest with ourselves, he just threw it. He just fucking threw it. I really, in my heart, as a Giants fan, I swear to God, I believe he just threw it. He said he saw a white jersey. Bullshit. He just threw it. He just threw it over the middle completely. He just fucking threw it. And you know what? David Tyree went up and out-muscled. He just out-muscled, period. That's just how he did it. That's how he did it. And that moment was so like I screamed maybe 5 times at the TV. Like, it was like, Like, what the fuck? What the? You know what I mean? Like, fucking unbelievable. I'm sorry, guys. I hate that you have to relive that, but it's like I still can't believe it happened. I can't believe that you guys let that happen. However, you guys, look what you did to the Seahawks. Look what you did to the Seahawks.
Oh,
Give me a friggin' break. He broke that. He broke that pass, right? He was there before the wide receiver was there. It was just like that was a ridiculous play call. You'll never have a worse play call ever than that.
What, the Seattle game? I disagree.
Oh, why? How do you really? You don't think you give him Marshawn Lynch?
I don't, and I'll tell you why, right? And I love when this topic comes up because they had one timeout left. There was 20 seconds, and it was second down. So if you run it there and you get stuffed, you have to throw on third down. So you take away the element of surprise. They tried to stick it in there in the second down, and I hate when people talk about it going, it's a bad play call because it takes away from the defensive stand. The defensive stand started on the first play, which was Dante Hightower, who basically lifted up the O-lineman and chucked him aside, and he basically stopped Marshawn Lynch with his shoulder and stopped him down. And I know he got to the basically 1.5 foot line, but if you look at that year, they ran with Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line 7 times that year. 7 times he was stuffed. The Patriots in a goal line situation, they will stuff you. And then you got the ball, you got the clock running, and then you got to use your last time out. And now you take away the chance to win, and you're playing for the tie in that situation. And I don't disagree with it. It was a great play by Malcolm Butler.
That goes against everything. That goes against everything that Brother Ray says about fantasy sports. You start your studs. You stay with the horse that got you there. Brother Ray, am I right? Am I right? You give it a Lynch. That's the guy.
Yeah, the problem is they had done that play earlier in the year in the same situation. And you have to understand that Bill Belichick watches tape. This team watches tape. So if you do something during the year that's unusual and you try that in the biggest moment of the Super Bowl, they're going to know it's coming. And guess what? They knew it was coming. He jumped that route instantly. So that, for me, it wasn't so much that they threw it, but they did the same thing that they did earlier in the year. And you know that they were prepared for it.
Did you guys hear like the Belichick, like the headset stuff, and like him talk about it? It's amazing. Like that to me, that's like cemented his sort of legacy because Patriots had a timeout and they were. The sideline wanted to use it, so because like the Seahawks are going to score, we need as much time as possible. And Belichick, like Brother Ray just said, recognized the whole thing, knew exactly what play was coming, and he let it tick. He's like, no, we've seen it before, we know how to stop it. And like that to me blew away. So that's why when anyone talks about like they know football, like we're talking like we know football, we don't fucking know football like that. Like all of the time out, we need clock, run Marshawn Lynch, like Belichick sitting there calm, watching it tick down, knowing he's seen the formation and what their tendency is there, and he doesn't want to call a timeout because then Seattle's going to call a different play. That was.
Did you guys see the footage? Did you see the footage leading up to the Super Bowl when they were trying to put in Kyle Arrington, another corner, and Malcolm? There was 3 or 4 corners. They were interchanging. When they came up, they said they love to run this formation, and they even showed the arrow. Yeah. And Malcolm was the only one who was getting it and getting it. So right when they did it, Brandon says, "I'm stuffing him. You jump," and he did. It was really, really good that Brandon Browner pushed the receiver into the pass pattern of I don't even know who the hell was trying to get that ball, but he bumped him, kind of slowed his route. Malcolm made a great play. And if you look at that play, it almost doesn't get made because I think it's Dante Hightower jacks up and hits Malcolm, and that ball rattles. If you look at that play going to the ground, Malcolm almost gets that ball ripped from him from his own Patriot.
And that was another thing about that moment, like talking about great moments. Like I remember very distinctly where I was watching that game. It was at a friend's house, and the Patriots were down 10 in the third quarter. And my girlfriend at the time is like trying to console me. I'm like, get away, don't worry about it. She's sitting down at the end of the game, and she goes, "What just happened?" And I just looked all grin. Like there's a picture of me, like full smile. You wouldn't even believe it's me. And I just go, "What happened?" Like the Patriots just won the Super Bowl. That's what happened. And that was it. The rest of the night is a blur. It was just unbelievable.
I have my favorite stories like that. I have this one's in my memory, burned. So the Giants are killing the Vikings, and I just started dating my wife, so I was on my bestest behavior. You know what I mean? So I had to go to a wedding with her. So I'm going to a wedding with my girlfriend. So I'm at her house and I'm watching the Giants play the Vikings, and they're killing them, right? I'm like, this is incredible. Then the Vikings start coming back. I mean, it's like, I'm like, they can't come back. This is like, we're up like 4 touchdowns. And she's like, come on, it's time to go. And we're losing. We're starting to lose. Like, I can't believe it. And she's like, come on, let's go. And I knew that I had to leave. So I knew that I had to leave and not watch the ending of the game. And it was like when you litter and the Indian guy shows up with the tear coming down. You know what I mean?
Why did you do that?
I looked up at my wife and I had like a tear coming down my face, and she goes, what's the matter? I'm like, the Giants are losing. I'm like, the Giants are losing. And she's like, oh, I was mad, like indignant, like, oh, I thought like it was something important, or real, whatever it was. That was her comeback. I was like, yeah, whatever, let's go to the wedding, let's go. But that was the worst. That comeback, and then the comeback with the 49ers with T.O. flexing and scoring. Like, God damn, did we fall apart in that goddamn game. Those are moments that, like, you want to go there and punch one of the players in the face. You want to be like, dude, play a little bit better, will you please?
Yeah.
Show up a little bit more. Do you guys do that? Mad, yell to scream like at certain players, like, dude, could you pick it up a little? Could you make the effort? Like, you guys not make the tackle. You call it out. You guys.
I think they share more than most. They share more than most. And I hate it because I thought that Cam was pretty bad, and I know that Jared Stidham probably threw a lot of inaccurate balls, and he might have threw some picks, but I felt like it was more like when you signed on to Cam, you can't bench him, and I think once they signed on with Cam, it was a wrap, and that was pretty disappointing because, I've seen the Patriots with a young Tom Brady win games. Like, if Jared Stidham can just go in there and not make mistakes, see what you got. But it is what it is. I would have liked to see a young kid get in there.
Brother Ray, what were you and your Dolphins? Like, what are you screaming at? What are you screaming about? You know what I mean?
I mean, for me, I've had a couple of real heartbreakers. Probably the biggest one was the San Diego Charger game. Double overtime. Kellen Winslow basically cracked me like an egg. I mean, he basically cracked me like an egg. Blocked a field goal. Had 200 yards receiving. I just can remember them carrying him off the field, and it just unbelievable game. The hook and ladder in to end the first half with Jeriel Harris, pitching it to Tony Nathan running down the sidelines. But that game, that was a crushing one. But I mean, really, for me, my first memory was Larry Zonka in the Super Bowl. My first memory watching football was the Dolphins beating the Vikings in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 8. So that's my first memory, and that's how it started out. That's why my dog's name is Zonka, and that's why I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah. Brother, is that Kellen Winslow Sr. or Junior?
Oh, Senior.
Yeah, okay, good, because Junior's doing 12 to 18 for
Junior's wearing orange.
Yeah.
What happened with Junior? What did he do?
He had a thing about sneaking into older women's houses and doing kind of dirty things. So look it up. Just look up Kellen Winslow charges. Well, not Chargers, charges.
Making his dad proud. Good fan.
Yeah, you know what? That's a silly story, but speaking about when these players lose their minds and do stuff like this, I noticed that. You think it's like just the internet that we have so many players doing such ridiculous shit, or do you think it was always there, like they were always doing stuff like this and it was just covered up better? You know what I'm trying to say? Or do you think that it's because it's just new? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, when do you think it started? This whole craziness.
Okay. Can I comment first?
Go ahead.
I think it was 10 times worse before. You never heard about it because the way the guys take care of themselves now, they're a little limited. Think about you ever want to read some funny stuff. Not funny story, but you want to read some stuff about a crazy group of people. Read about the Dan Fouts Chargers and the way those guys would party. There's a rumor that Dan Fouts actually got shot in the shoulder and it was covered up. And I don't know if it happened. I'll never know, obviously. But those guys weren't on vegan diets. They weren't planning to play until they were 43. It was a different group of guys, and I'm sure the stories are the ones you find are out of control. Now, I don't think it's nearly as bad, but you hear about everything.
Brother Ray?
Yeah, I mean, back then, the press protected the players. The best story I ever heard was Babe Ruth. The reporters would follow the teams. They would travel by train, from city to city, and the reporters would stay with, they would stay there. They would gather, they'd talk, so one night they're having coffee and they're in the dining car. So they're sitting there and Babe Ruth comes running through the dining car naked, running right through. He goes right past them. So they look, and back of him is a naked woman with a knife, runs right past them, chasing Babe through the car.
As they do.
The reporter said they looked at each other. They went back to drinking their coffee.
That's, yeah. You know what? It's great. The great ones always have the most bizarre stories. Like LT, how he used to scale the bricks on his college dorm to get back to his room. And it wasn't like the brick stuck out too much. He just would, by strength, would scale the brick wall with his hands and go back in his room. Like he was, I don't know if there's ever been a guy that's been built like him in that sense. Like he was unstoppable. I always felt like that about him. Like he was unstoppable. That coming full speed. How the frig do you stop that guy? You know what I mean?
And then add cocaine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
then add cocaine.
Yeah, and he was out of his mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get the post football stories with him are nuts. The stories while he was playing are nuts, and he terrified everybody. Like offensive linemen were like, if I kind of let you through, will you not kill me? And what are you gonna do? You try to block him? I mean, it's not worth it.
They would call him Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
So, hey guys, so with the season wrapping up, which team do you think you got wrong the most? Because, I know for a fact, I thought the Panthers would be better. Matt was always all over them every week, it seemed. And I also thought they would be better than advertised. I thought they were going to be better, and they weren't. So, think about it really quick. And give me a team that just, in your opinion, just didn't perform, and they should have. Matt, you want to go first?
Oh, man, it's got to be San Fran, but it's got to be because they had so many injuries. I think that they're in a tough division too, San Francisco is just, from coaching to players, I think they're still going to be right there because, that's just how football is. But when you got the coaching, I think the coaching's basically the root and the soil. So you got that, you can grow something good. I think they just got beat up a lot. But I would say San Fran more than anybody.
All right. Right.
And I have a couple teams, but I'd probably say off the top of my head, the Raiders. I mean, they had a lot of draft picks. They drafted defense. They bolstered the offensive line. Gruden, there's no more excuses. He's had the time to build his team. Mayock, I thought, did a great job in the draft. They started off great, and then the wheels on the train just fell off, and that was surprising for me. I thought they had what it took to be in the playoffs at the end of the year.
Mine would be the Eagles. I thought the Eagles were going to be really good this year. That's all I kept hearing. Everywhere I was, everybody wanted to tell me how good the Eagles were going to be this year. And the Eagles were just not good this year. They were garbage. They were the worst of the worst. They were really bad. So by far, it's the Eagles. Kev?
Yeah, you took mine. I was going to say the Eagles, but to add a comment, I'll flip it. I think the Redskins did better than I expected. I am not a Ron Rivera fan at all. I think he's good enough to get a team to be put a program in place and some discipline and some accountability and some basic schemes. And the Redskins probably need that. But in 2 or 3 years, they're going to hit their ceiling, and their ceiling is not going to be a Super Bowl appearance like he did in Carolina with Cam. Their ceiling is going to be much lower. So I was surprised they actually won the division. So I'll go with them.
Yeah, that was definitely one. See, the Eagles suck so bad. 2 of us wanted to pick them.
Yeah,
That's how bad they suck. All right, so moving into the Super Bowl, we got 2 games ahead of us. I don't want to talk about who's going to win, but I'll ask you this. This will be the last thing that we ask each other, because then we can wrap it up and then do the basketball show. Dun, dun, dun. All right, what's going to be the top story leading into the Super Bowl? What's the top team? What's the story going to be? Because I'll tell you what I think it's going to be. I already think it's been written. Mahomes against Brady, handing the lightsaber over to Mahomes, you know what I mean? Or there's Brady, it's going to be, goddamn it, Brady versus Mahomes. It's not going to be. I would love it if it was what's his face, Green Bay,
Josh Allen.
No, I'm just terrified that that's what's going to happen. I'm afraid that the whole thing is going to be about Brady. I think I'm having a breakdown because I really think everything's going to be about Brady. I really do. I think we're going to, right now, we don't know it yet, but we're not paying attention. It's like some conspiracy. It's just T and B, the letters T and B. That's what we'll go by. We'll put it everywhere. What it is he's going to be in the Super Bowl. No matter what we do, he's going there, I think. And I can't believe it.
King, you might have to go in the coal mine with Mastradamus. You got to take a step back off the conspiracy theories. I think the story that if they make it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch any of the media. If that's because you're right. If those 2 teams make it, it's going to be unbearable, absolutely unbearable. Are we passing the torch? Is it like you said, 43 versus 24, 25, whatever the hell he is? Oh my God, it'll be awful, absolutely unbearable. So I hope Rodgers makes it through. And I think that'll be a better storyline. Probably make Rodgers versus Allen is a good storyline and much more boring. But I would much rather see it because, like you, I would tune it all out. I couldn't handle Brady Mahomes for 2 weeks.
That'd be so. What else could be the main story?
How healthy is Mahomes? That's what I want to know. Are they lying? Is there anything lingering? You're hearing things. You're hearing, different things coming out of there. And I know he's probably doing it just to be vague and not tip anything off. But if Chad Henne has to come in there and play a whole game, they are in a lot of trouble.
Yep, I hear you. So, all right. Brother Ray, as we're starting to get close to the off season, fantasy football never stops. So my question to you is, you're gonna start to get prepared for it, right? It's when you start to really look at the upcoming draft and whatnot, looking all of that stuff. Do you have your own, in other words, when do you start to really make the push to look into everybody? Are you somebody that starts early, How do you break things down? I'm trying to figure out how you break down the upcoming classes. You always seem to know. You're always like a step ahead of me when it comes to the college guys coming up. Even if I'm reading up on them, it always seems like you know a little bit more info than I do. So how do you exactly get your off season going? Give me a little bit glimpse into the counselor.
Well, number one, I'm a geek, so that's an advantage right there, or a disadvantage, whichever way you want to take it. But really, there's kind of 3 phases to this. There's, prep for the draft, where you're looking at the players, where you think they're going to land, and what they're doing coming out of college. Then once they're drafted, now you're looking at what's the opportunity for the player. Are they going to come and start right away? Are they going to be behind somebody? So then that kind of puts them up and down your draft board. It may be the better player, but he's stuck behind 2 other players. Someone like an Alvin Kamara, who I really liked. I knew he was going to be behind 2 players. But again, you take the risk and you take him anyway because you believe in the player that much. So once you find out where they're going, you know what the situation is. You know what the offense is, you know what the match is, and what the projection is on that team. Then, of course, once you get into camp, you start looking at what's happening, who's in there with the first team, who's getting the ball. It really comes down to reps, because the players that are going to be playing in September, they're the ones that are getting those reps. So it's the draft, free agency. What are teams doing? What are their needs? Where do these draft prospects land? And then what is the fit? And how does that shape up for the regular season?
That makes sense. Same thing like throwing it back at you, Genius. When it comes to betting,
Yeah.
You just deal with in the moment, right?
No.
Is that how you do it? Oh, how? Tell me.
No. Like there's a lot of opportunity on the when the team win totals come out. You got to start looking right there. Because there's a lot of numbers that are just off, and you can get some value if you study like Brother Ray was talking about, and you watch player movement and you watch drafts. Then you see like the Patriots, I think, were at 9, and you look at them and they don't have a quarterback, probably not a 9-win team. So you can go under there. You'll see these opportunities, but you have to really know the rosters, because you're betting when there's a lot of uncertainty. So what Brother Ray is talking about, okay, this rookie gets drafted, there's 2 people in front of him, but is he talented enough to actually, really impact the team, and you go there. That's some of the best opportunities of all is the team win totals before the season starts. So so you can't stop. And the good thing is we all do fantasy football too. So I'm following the player movement anyway. And I started really early this year, which I think I'm happy about, because I ended up with a couple of good like young tight ends. I got a lot of those running backs that were second or third tier guys that became starters, and I really had a good look this season. So I'm gonna keep it up. And I'm gonna read a little more about the draft and college draft. I mean, and a little more about player profiles, and kind of probably start in April, May, something like that.
I hear that. Matt, I'm feedback before I drive us out of here.
I did. I think the line for the Super Bowl is going to be Mr. Tom Brady and how he loves to eat buffalo.
Hey, all right, we'll leave it on that, guys. Thanks for being here for Legit Fantasy Football. We'll speak to you guys on Sunday. It's me, Mike Lepre, Legit Fantasy Sports. Please, if you see our videos on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe. Just leave a comment. Say, hey, what's up, Mike? Anything you can do will help. Thank you and good night.